I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. 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 Boogie like Bresee, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. I'm Big Q. Shout out to the fam for being in this stream, man. Happy holidays to you. New Year's, actually, I'm sorry, a little early. Christmas Eve edition of the Sports Coma. Hit the like button and the sub button if you're not a sub. The share button is always cool. That helps the stream out. But also, if you're listening via X, hit the retweet, and retweet again. Big ups to you on this episode of the show. Now, listen, fam, a lot of fantastic stuff happening with the Black and Gold Nation. We just did the NFC South Roundtable, which was pretty cool. A lot of flux going on. We know Carolina and Tampa Bay, it's basically going to be between those two teams to decide what happens in terms of who gets what, when, and where, how I finished. That don't have nothing to do with us. We took care of our business in terms of that. We have 2 games remaining against the Tennessee Titans this week, and then we close out the season finale next year against the Atlanta Falcons. So we have some business, and all we can do is take care of business and finish strong and go out of here at 7-10 and take that momentum into next year. So with that being said, Saints on the 3-game winning streak. That's the good part about it. It's not perfect, but you're seeing the material, the maturation. Let's just say that we're seeing the maturation process of the Saints defense, offense. We've seen them find a kicker in Charlie Smith. He got his 3-year deal prior to last week's game, then proceeded to go 5 for 6. Which was absolutely just amazing. I asked the question prior to the watch stream, were the Saints premature in giving Charlie Smith a 3-year deal as opposed to bringing in competition with him? No, they committed to him. They gave him a 3-year deal, and he proceeded to go 5 for 6 in the matchup against the who the hell we just beat the hell out of? The Jets, I'm sorry. It's a lot of football been happening. But the bottom line is, man, listen, man, you know, it's good to see a lot of positive stuff happening with the team. It was really bad early. The drop passes, missed blocks. And we still see a little of that going on, but you're starting to see an identity creep from up under the clouds, right? We're starting to see guys understand what they're going to do. We're starting to see guys at an elite level playing. We're seeing Chris Olave, who to me should be a Pro Bowler. Chris Olave just really handling the business for our team. He's phenomenal. We've seen a absolute phenomenal transition in terms of what we've seen from Cam Jordan in this one, 8.5 sacks. And of course, he did mention the fact that he ultimately wouldn't mind coming back to the Saints. Or do we pivot and just say, man, look, that's nice and all that, but we have to move in a different direction? But so many really great things that you're seeing. Shough, since he's been starting 9 games, or almost 1,800 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. We'll go over all the statistics, but man, I just speak so much about how the Saints are doing this. AK-41, he's knocked out. Devin Neal is done. Kendre Miller is done for this in terms of not being able to contribute, but yet and still the Saints finding a way to attempt to keep offense balanced, right? We know Shough is ranked as the 5th leading rusher on the team. He's becoming a dual threat in many regards. Chris Olave, a lot of questions about should he get the money. I've always said he should get the money, but this year he is breaking through, busting through, and having an absolute phenomenal season. He's on pace, and like I said, if you look at his statistics, this is his best season. Period. He had a 10-catch game this past week. He has 92 catches. He's never had that. The most he's had during his professional playing career was 87 catches. That was his best season. The second year in 2023, he had 87 catches for 1,123 yards. He is, when it's all said and done, he has more catches this year than he's ever had in his career. The most he had was 5 in that same 87 catch year. This man has 8 catches, and there's 2 games left. He's going to have double-digit touchdowns. He's going to break with his 2023 year when he had 1,123 in reception yards. He's going to get that easily. So he's going to break his personal best. He already did that in terms of catches with 92. He's going to get over 100 catches this year. He'll get 100 in this game alone against the Titans, and then he'll get another 8 or 9 or maybe 10 in the Atlanta game. So he's going to be roughly 110 catch season from him. He'll have probably over 1,200 yards catching, and he'll have at least 10 catches, 10 touchdown catches. So, I mean, he's phenomenal. He needs to be considered for a Pro Bowl nod. And I think he'll get the Pro Bowl nod. And like I said, the Pro Bowl is a joke. We know it's not, what we want it to be, but it's just an honor. I think it should just be a trophy based on your production. All this flag football stuff is, I don't know what they're doing. It's the game is a joke. But in terms of the accolades and the respect to give a player who has performed admirably a shot, that's Chris Olave. He's been phenomenal. Another player that's been absolutely phenomenal in many ways toward the back end of the season is Juwan Johnson. Now, y'all know that I've been lighting Juwan Johnson up early in the year, and rightfully so, because Juwan Johnson wasn't playing the way we expected him to play. Juwan Johnson was dropping passes. He was missing blocks. He was dropping touchdown balls. He was doing all that. Not so much over the last 3 to 4 games. He has caught everything that he's thrown to him. His blocking has improved. A light has went on, and that's what we were saying. Like, dude, hone in on your craft. It was too many mistakes made. But Juwan Johnson, credit to him, he has really done a phenomenal job. I mean, he has already gotten highs at every position. I don't know if people realize this or not, but Juwan Johnson has 70 catches. He has 70 catches, which is tied for 22nd in the NFL. He has over 700 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he's averaging 10.5 yards per catch. So it's a first down every time, a first down and a little more every time he catches the ball. Now, all of that is career highs. Last year, he had 50. This year, he has 20 more catches. His targets are more than he's ever gotten. And he's never had anything over 548, but he has 700. And depending on how he play in the next 2 games, he might get 1,000. It'll be tough for him to get 1,000 yards because he would have to obviously have a couple of 100 catch performances to get 1,000. It would be cool to see him do that, but he will more than likely, unless he tears it up and he catches 3 touchdowns in a game and all this kind of stuff, he won't get to double-digit touchdowns. But perhaps maybe I don't think he'll get his best average in 2022. And he had 7 touchdowns, so that's the touchdowns are not there. He dropped the touchdown early in the year. He had a few other plays, but outside of that, in 15 games, he's been phenomenal. He has career highs in yards and also in reception. So, those guys, and he's been available through 15 games. He's been available. He has been there for the Saints. And a lot of credit and respect has to go with Juwan Johnson, because you challenge these guys and you see them improve. And when they improve, you don't keep on them. You give them the credit that they're due. And like I said, he's done a phenomenal job. The defense has done a phenomenal job. Demario Davis has 131 total tackles. He has excelled. Even though he's slowing down, he don't still have the same lateral movement. But you can see with the defense, things changed a bit and they kind of elevated. So Demario Davis, 131 tackle performance. He should get a Pro Bowl nod too. Put on big numbers, 131. We still got 2 games left. Demario could add another 10 tackles per game and put him well over 150 tackles for the season ending. Jonas Sanker. And I'm going through this, and then listen, fam, we're going to get into the rest of the news, but I'm just giving credit where credit's due to players. Jonas Sanker is another fantastic player that we've seen light it up for the Saints. 75 total tackles. He has 2 interceptions. So this is a rookie that we brought in, and he's excelled. And it's like, man, wow, it's just been incredible watching what he's done. Him coming in because of Blackman getting hurt and him excelling. So Saints picking this guy up in the draft, and Jonas Sanker from Virginia has been every bit of the safety we knew he could be. And I'm just looking forward to what he'll look like next year. He had a stellar campaign. We still have 2 games remaining for him to tackle on it. Pete Werner had a 74 tackle season with 2 sacks up to this moment, right? And we know he's been kind of co-sharing minutes with Danny Stutzman, which is a smart philosophy by Coach Staley, because Stutzman ultimately, when Demario retires, if he retires, then you will have Stutzman and Pete Werner operating in the middle linebacker position. So Stutzman had 44 tackles to go along with Pete Werner's 74 tackles. Alontae Taylor, he has a 70 tackle performance this year with 2 interceptions, and it is his contract year. So with all of the questions surrounding the Saints, and we'll do a special about this later on, should the Saints bring Alontae Taylor back? Obviously, the question is yes. Will they do it? Because there are some players in the draft the Saints could pivot to that might be a little cheaper. But we've been hearing about them working with Chris Olave on an extension. We know Chris Olave is probably option 1 in terms of getting it done, because they already started negotiating with him. They don't negotiate, according to Mickey Loomis, with 2 people at the same time. They'll do Chris Olave, maybe an announcement to be made between now and the end of the season, what kind of money. But, man, a lot of people cannot have a lot of tough critiques or criticisms for when the season is over, what numbers Chris Olave will produce, despite the fact that he had all these head injuries. He returns and he's going to have, when it's all said and done, 100 catch year on a contract year, which is what you want to do. Now, Alontae Taylor is the second guy. Alontae 70 tackles. When he'll more than likely get up to over 80 tackles for him at that position with 2 interceptions, and Alontae's big in that secondary. I think they'll give him his money, but we'll see how it all plays. Justin Reed's next, as you can see. So like I said, it's been phenomenal. But one of the greatest things that we've seen recently is the 80-year-old Cam Jordan. I just say that affectionately. Cam's 36. But to see Cam Jordan and the way he's been playing and how Cam Jordan has really elevated his style of play has been just phenomenal to me, because Cam has been awesome, man. He's been awesome. This year, multiple sack performance. He's 8.5, still has 2 weeks left. Cam's going to try to get double digits on the year, and he's tied for 15 in the NFL. So it's just been a phenomenal year for our older statesmen players like Cam, who hasn't had this many sacks in like 3 to 4 seasons. But to have 8.5 and lead the team is beyond ridiculous, right? And the second guy, shout out to Chase Young, and shout out to my boy KT the Great, because we know KT talked about Chase Young, and we know that I think the most that he's had was with the Saints. He had 5.5 last year. The largest total that Chase has had in terms of his sacks, and what he does is between 2 teams, the Washington Commanders, the Washington Whataburgers, and the San Francisco 49ers. I think he had like 8 sacks combined. He had 3 with the Commanders, and then he had 5 with the 49ers, which is respectable. Can he get double digits? We got 2 weeks left. He has 7 sacks, and that was the point. Can Chase Young, who missed basically half the season, Chase Young, and that's something also to be factored in. He's only played in 10 games. So he's missed, at least 6 games? He's mixed 6 games and he still has 7 sacks. Imagine if he was healthy that first month of the season, where Chase Young stats would have been. He would have had double-digit sacks. He would have had at least 10 sacks, right? So can he finish strong and prove my dog KT wrong? Shout out to my dog KT. All right, big ups to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all being in the stream. Much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all hit that like button as we keep this thing going. Just wanted to give accolades and shine on this holiday, Christmas Eve version of the Coma, to the family members or to the players who have really elevated their play during this 3-game winning streak that really helped the Saints take it to the next level. Also, other players to be kind of missed on, to give credit for in terms of the Saints, are guys like Nate Shepard. How Nate Shepard has played. Nate Shepard was a guy that also talked about that was, that came close to him being released. But Nate Shepard all of a sudden has woken up. He's gotten a lot better. And remember, he came in as a package deal with Bing Saunders. Saunders got shipped out here for Luke Fortner, which we won that trade straight away. Jaguars got rid of Bing Saunders. He ended up with the Jets, not looking good at all. Nate Shepard elevated his play, 3 sacks. He's been a monster in the interior of the defensive line, helping the Saints stop people from running, helping us stop the Carolina Panthers and Hall from the Jets. These are good running backs, by the way. Holding them down and not letting them break free in games and pile up a bunch of stats. But Nate Shepard's another guy I guess you can give a stocking to. I guess we could call it stocking giving. Big Q giving out gifts to the Saints players. And the players talk about like Luke Fortner. Luke Fortner is another guy you give a stocking to or give to of accolades to. The trade of Bing Saunders to get this guy here. And he's played really well. You notice how the Saints running attack, even though we're missing some of our runners, but they're still able to get 4- and 5-yard runs with it inside the makeshift line. You got Dylan Reduce and Luke Fortner. Caesar's out, but Will Sherman stepped in there. And Will Sherman's been a guy who's crawled ahead of the lineup and has played actually pretty decently. So we had this makeshift interior offensive line, but they're at points this right now actually playing better than the starters when we had them in there, because there was still a lot of disconnection in how they were operating as a community in terms of the offensive line, blocking together, communicating. It wasn't there, but now you can see them actually running plays, reverses. Remember, they were trying to do that early in the season and just people was missing blocks, allowing penetration from the defense, all this kind of stuff. But you don't see that as much now. After all the practices, stuff is starting to kick in. He's starting to see these guys do really good. We know, shout out to both Kelvin Banks Jr. and Tali Fuaga, our young guys are continuing to improve moving forward. So, like I said, man, it's a lot of great things going on with our people, man, and we just have to keep this thing. And then finally, before I move on to our next topic discussion, how about Charlie Smith? 81%, right? Almost 80, might as well say 82%. The longest he's kicked was a 56-yarder. The guy is 9 for 11 since coming in, and he's splendid, man. And Charlie's a young guy. He's 24. He's 6'4", big kicker, but has a cannon for a leg. And the Saints had this man, got him from the international program, has had him sitting on the practice squad for the last couple of years. And, you know, it took us removing Blake Grupe, who was Dennis Allen's pick, as the kicker once we traded Will Lutz, several years ago. Now it's Charlie Smith. And the Saints will grow with Charlie Smith. This is a kicker, I promise you. If you had gave him a second attempt on that 60-plus yard field goal before halftime, man, he would have nailed that sucker. You seen the leg? He kicked it into the stands. The ball, you go back and watch the kick, the ball went into the stands. And so he had the leg, he had the length on it. He just didn't have the accuracy. You give him another shot for that. Again, the next play, he would have knocked it right on through. He would have knocked it right on through. He even talked about it. He kicked 60-yarders at practice just for fun. And now listen, fam, when I was playing football, when we were taking breaks in between, it wasn't my time to rotate in. I would go, because on the opposite side of the field, we'll be kicking, the kicking unit will happen. So they'll be practicing on the other end while guys are working on one end, the kicking unit, special teams working on the other end, kicking field goals and getting ready. So, when I would sometimes go over there and just for, when it wasn't our time, and I'd just be going over there, just kicking the ball with them. But there was this one time where I was kicking the ball with them, and it's like, okay, try it from here, from 25 or 30, wherever it was. And I kicked it right on through. And I had no training as a kicker. I didn't have it. I was just mimicking the behaviors of the kicker. I was watching what they was doing, like, that's always been a gift. I can watch what they were doing, and then see, if I can reverse engineer it and be able to put something together. So I was able to watch what they were doing, then go out there and do the motion. But it was the power, flowing the power. So I hit one from 30. I hit one, they moved it back to 40. And then they moved it to 50. I hit one for 50 in practice. And then they put it at, and by these times while we was kicking, the practice on the other end of them playing offense and defense had stopped. And the coaches were looking, everybody was watching me kick the field goals. I had no idea they were doing this. So I think I saw it was like 20, then it was 30, then it was 40, then it was like 50 something yards or whatever it was. And I went 3 straight, and I think I missed it from like 50 something or other. But it was like, by that time, that next kick, because they were like, wow, he kicked it. And every time it went right on through. But the one from 50, I kicked it. It had the distance, but it went, I think it was to the left of it. So that's the game. The game is you can have power kicking, but you got to know when it's long and when you're kicking from great lengths. There's other factors like weather, it's the feel, how slick it is. You have to adjust and adapt to it all. And when I tried to kick it from 50, it had the leg. It just did not have the accuracy. So I can impart, in my little kicking capade and kind of understand, man, it's not an easy thing to do. Maybe when you close it is, but when you get that far, it becomes a game of environment, wind, knowing how to turn the kick and all this kind of stuff. And that kicking background for Charlie Smith will help him, in his NFL endeavor. So the Saints inked this kid to a 3-year deal, man. And I just think it's a Merry Christmas for the Saints and Charlie Smith, especially, right? All right, now let's pivot, man. Let's get right into it. Y'all hit that like button as we get going. And this is a question, man, that they're asking: can New Orleans Saints QB Chuck Mangione, Chuck Norris, the judge Chuck Wapner, could he win the Shuckinator? How about that? Those people gave me grief on that one. Can Chuck win the Offensive Rookie of the Year? This is NFL writer Kevin Patra. He breaks the scoop down, which is pretty cool. Carolina receiver Ted McMillan remains the favorite to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year honors, but New Orleans Saints quarterback Tyler Shough Mangione is at least giving voters something to consider. The Saints have won 3 consecutive games with Shough throwing for 300-plus yards for the first time in his career on Sunday. 29-6 demolition of the Jets. His play spearheaded the team, looked lost in the wilderness early in the season, but has given a shot to earn the Offensive Rookie of the Year in the final 2 weeks. That's obviously a great achievement. Shough Mangione said Sunday when asked about the postseason accolades, would times picayune, but I think for us that can be attained by finishing the season the right way and getting a victory next week and then the week after that. So that's all I'm focused on right now, and we'll go from there. Ted McMillan, who has 924 yards with 65 grabs and 7 touchdowns for the NFC South leading Panthers, remain the front of the Offensive Rookie of the Year. But the fact that Shough is even in the conversation is a testament to the Saints' strong play down the stretch. In 7 starts, Shough is the Shough, Chuck Norris has displayed arm talent, heady playmaking, and when things break down and an incremental improvement each week, it's enough to silence chatter in the bayou that the Saints need to take another swing at the QB position in the offseason. I think that's awesome, said Coach Kellen of Shough, having a chance to earn an award. Tyler's played some really good football. Our team has played much better football as the season progressed. So those things certainly don't go without the guys around him and everyone kind of stepping up and playing better. This is true. Tyler's brought a really positive spark to us and some consistency. I love where he's at. And that's because, listen, even though Tyler Shough, and great thank you, Kevin Patrick, for that, even though Tyler Shough has played well, the team is galvanized. That is largely because of the accruing practices. At some point, they're running the same plays. They're figuring out what to do. And listen, all these players are playing better. The defense wasn't playing like this the first month of the season. Guys, the defense was getting ran on. There were communication issues. When we break the tape down on Patreon, I'll be pinpointing showing you that they're communicating. You see Jonas Sanker and Demario Davis communicating, Pete Werner and them, Alante Taylor, Kool-Aid McKinstry, they're talking and pointing and saying, who you got? You got him? You got it? That's what you need. You got to have communication out there. If you don't know who you're guarding, you need to talk to the next man and say, who you got? And get that straightened out. You see the talking on the defensive line as well. You see that happening. So it's a positive impact that's really going on with the Saints. And that is because of all of the accrued practices and the red hot reps during these games. And you see players, even the offensive line, because they're running the same stuff over and over again, right? At some point it'll click and then you'll figure out, okay, this works, that works, and guys will play better. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing as the season go on, people are getting comfortable in their roles. They're understanding what they're supposed to do, what the coaches want them to do, and you're seeing them benefited by it. Now, why is this important? Because when the season starts next year, the core audience of people that you have running the team, offensively, defensively, and via special teams will ultimately take the lead and say, listen, whoever you bring in, whether it's a free agent or a draft pick, listen, this is what y'all need to do. We're going to do this, that. And then that becomes the thing. Now, the major part of it is the Saints also have galvanized and found an identity. This is true talk. The Saints have gotten an identity now. They have figured out who they want to be and how they want to operate. Notice the play calling is different. Kellen Moore's weird play, Nussmeier's, the north-south stuff, it was all, this kind of stuff. But they're taking instruction from the quarterback, asking him, like we said, this was something that Cincinnati did with Joe Burrow when he came in. They were like, okay, they were trying to, and even the coach, I forgot the man's name, Coach Kevin up there in Cincinnati, he was the one that said that he had to change his philosophy. He said, okay, listen, I'm just going to ask him, hey, what are you comfortable with doing? They did the same thing at LSU with Joey Burrow in that championship year. Leading into it, it was like, okay, what plays are you comfortable for? And when they did that, they just took the offense, made it into a coat and put it on them like a well-fit suit, a fitted suit, tailored or well-tailored suit. And they wrapped it around them, and that took them to the next level. So the Saints are doing something similar where you're getting the input of the offense and you can see they're feeding off of it. You got to see that because, number one, you see the plays that they're running. All of them are comfortable with it. Chris Olave, Tyler Shough, you even see the tight end, Jawan Johnson, offensive line is blocking better. So it's a benefit to the players currently that they had all this going on to the point where they've galvanized. They found the right set of plays that they like to write, that they like to run, that they're comfortable with, and you see a great benefit on all aspects of the field. Plus, the pressure of not trying to push for a playoff berth is not on the Saints, so they can play free. So let's not forget that. That's an extra layer 2 or 3 worth of pressure on top of a team when you're competing for a playoff berth. There's pressure on you. The Saints they don't have that pressure. So they can play free, they can play fast, they can do what they want to do and just have fun with it, right? So it's a positive, but this is obviously something that you want to build on as you go forward into next year when the Saints add to it with draft picks and free agency and all that kind of stuff to get this team back fast. So that's the key point, just getting an identity, which the Saints have worked with and using this into the future. That's the thing. So that's what it is on the Tyler Shough thing as we move forward. All right, let's hit this one right here. Shout out to Taysom Hill. This is something that the Hall of Fame had put up for milestones. The Hall of Fame did this. Taysom Hill became the first player in Super Bowl era and the 4th player of all time with at least 1,000 passing yards, 1,000 rushing yards, 1,000 receiving yards in his career, joining Bob Horschenmeyer, George Taliaferro, and Charlie Trippy. So Taysom Hill is in rarefied air, but he might, and we know Taysom's not going to no Hall of Fame anytime soon, but reaching a milestone that people haven't seen since the 50s is outerworldly. That is insane. So, and like I said, you haven't seen this since the 50s. So Taysom is a true throwback player. And listen, coming into the game, he hadn't been much involved because he's a rhythm player. Let's get that understood. Taysom Hill's a rhythm player. He's a guy that you have to give you got to give him runs and catches, and he gets stronger in the game. Like when you open the game up, he fumbled, right? But they benched him right after that, did what they were supposed to do. He didn't make a mistake after that. He got his head in the game. He was a benefactor for the Saints when they stopped him. Remember, they were trying to run the 4th down play where Taysom was going into motion. Then he lined up behind the center and they tried to push. And then the Carolina Panthers seen it coming. They compressed down and stopped him. The linebacker jumped over the pile and tackled him and stopped him. Remember that? And it was like, oh man, here we go. That was a bad play. So what did Kellen Moore do the next time? Well, the Saints lined up to take the punt. They put Taysom in there. Taysom got directed, snapped it to, then he went and got the first down anyway. So it was so many things going on in the game that we kind of forgot that one, right? That not only did he get the first down on the 4th down to keep the drive moving ahead, the touchdown came on the back end that redeemed him with the fumble, but he was making runs. He was the top rusher of the team. He was making catches. He was doing everything. And Taysom Hill, he was really big in the win against the Jets. And, he's on the final year of his deal. He was very emotional at the press conference because the Saints have been his team. The Saints gave him an opportunity. The Saints believed in him. And they made Taysom not only a rich man, but they made him a popular man because they gave him opportunities to go out there and display his ability. And they're trying to find the next Taysom Hill, but he's been special here for the Saints. So, it was terrific to see Taysom Hill do that. First player in the Super Bowl era and the 4th player of all time to record those stats, man. That is absolutely insane. And of course, like I said, Taysom Hill, it will be a free agent at the end of this year. So with DeMario, Cam, Foster Moreau, as the Saints youth movement moves forward, it'll be interesting to see how they handle this. And do some of these guys actually go, or are they going to keep some of them on cheaper deals? I don't know, man. But Taysom Hill, if he's not a Hall of Famer, he's definitely a Saints legend. He's definitely going to go in the Saints, at least the Saints Hall of Fame, just at that moment. So, that's going to happen. No doubt about it. So shout out to Ken Trahan, man. All right. Anyway, let's push on, man, and move on and kind of hit this one, fam, as we get into it and keep this stuff moving and grooving on this Christmas Eve edition of the Coma. All right, Saints share injury updates on defensive tackle Bryan Bresee and tight end Foster Moreau. The updates, shout out to Saints Wire, talking about this stuff, is on Monday, Saints coach Kellen Moore said of defensive tackle Bryan Bresee and tight end Foster Moreau that probably time lost with those two guys. We'll see how the rest of the week plays itself out. We're anticipating time loss. So that's the terminology when you're out for a while. It's time loss. So this weekend, then we'll see what the following week looks like. That stops short of ruling both players out against the Tennessee Titans. I don't think Bryan Bresee is going to play for the rest of the year, and that's fine. I'm good with him getting instantly. This is a season where we're not going to do nothing. We'll see John Ridgway, who had a positive couple of plays in there, and Christian Boyd getting opportunities to be activated interiorly speaking. But Bryan Bresee, man, I'm just going to sit him down for the rest of the year. This is me talking, and allow him to rehab. Now, Foster Moreau could be out for the rest of the season. He's a free agent going into next year anyway. So that's how it ends. And that stops short of ruling both guys out against Tennessee. And it's unfortunately questionable with that ankle injury, did not return. When the guy pulled him down and rolled him down, you can see his ankle buckled. He limped off, but you could see that he was, in some pain and discomfort. So even though these aren't long-term concerns there, they come at a bad time. Foster Moreau will be a free agent. The Saints must make a decision on Bryan Bresee's fifth option for 2027. By Made experts at Over the Cap estimate Bryan Bresee's option will cost over $12 million, almost $13 million against the salary cap, which is little more than he will have earned from the first 4 years of his deal altogether. 12.2. That is a commitment they should feel comfortable with making. Losing 2 games to evaluate his fit and Staley's defense makes the decision a little more difficult. What I anticipate the Saints doing, and this is nothing new, what the Saints will do when they see these type of issues, that they'll decline the 5th-year option and then, have an extension ready for Bryan Bresee. Because Bryan Bresee, to me, when he came out of Clemson, there was a lot of concerns about whether or not he could stay healthy. Well, he answered that. Bryan Bresee's a force inside of Brandon Staley's defense, and he has his speed, his versatility. He has matured well, and I think he deserves to have that extension. So the Saints will come up with an extension eventually where they'll have Bryan Bresee for multiple years at a price that's more comfortable to them. So I think that's something that I'll see them do. They'll decline that 5th-year option and then come up with an extension. We've seen them do this before multiple times with other first-round draft picks. So that's not a big concern for me. I think ultimately you'll see Mickey Loomis and the Saints get that done, right? All right, let's move forward into the preview aspect of it, family, and take a look at this right here. And here we got right here the NFL rankings between the Saints, who showing up on a 3-game winning streak against the Titans, who just won against Kansas City. They're 3-12. Saints are 5-10. These averages, man, we'd love to know what the Saints averages were over the last month worth of football. Would be catastrophically different than what you're looking at here when they're averaging 17 points a game and giving up 22.5. Those stats are a combined effort from all of football, from the ugly games where they were just incompetent, have played a lot better. You can see Titans at 17 points a game and 27 given up. The NFL ranked Saints are over 304 yards and a half worth of total offense, which is 26 in the league. They have the Titans at 259, which is almost dead last, right? And then you have the rushing attack. Saints rushing attack is averaging 93 yards per game. That's 30th in the NFL. The passing attack is 19th with 212 per contest. The Titans are in similar straits, 93.6 rushing and throwing at 165 yards per game, which is 31st. Total defense, Saints top 9 in the NFL in yards allowed, 303.5. They do shut you down. They have not allowed major rushing happen the last couple of games, but 126.2, 22nd in the secondary has been a top 5 unit statistically, 177.3 yards per contest. The Titans on their side of it's given up 342 yards a game, and you can run on these guys according to 119, which is 18th, and the secondary does give up 223 yards, which is 21st in the league. You can see the punt return averages. The Saints about 9 yards of return, which is 20th. The Titans are the best punt return unit in the NFL. They average 17.4. The special teams will definitely be in play here, and the Saints have to watch when they punt the ball off to the Tennessee Titans. They have an ability to flip the field, and we have to be mindful of the special team component in the Titan game. The kickoffs, Saints 25.2, which is 23rd, and they averaging 25.7, which is 17th. So you can see a few points there, percentage points there better. The turnover margin in terms of the Saints is -3 and tied for 19th. The Titans are +4 and tied for 20th in the NFL. Time of possession, Saints 23-14 versus the Titans 29-07. The touchdowns are even, and the penalties. The Titans, you won't find a team that's more penalized than the Saints. It's Tennessee Titans. 120 penalties on the year. The Saints are babies to that, 106. And they have over 900 yards worth of penalties. Ridiculous. Versus the Saints, 106 to almost 800 yards. So that is crazy work. The Titans are a very penalized team. And now they're a sloppy team. They have played a little better recently. And Cam Ward is obviously the guy right there for the team as we move this thing forward. You can see the statistics right here with Cam Ward and what they're doing through 15 games. Cam's been starting for 15 games, over 2,800 yards for him with 13 touchdowns against just 7 interceptions. He has been sacked 51 times, and his rating is 79.1. Tony Pollard, the fantastic running back for them, is 210 carries, and he's only a handful of yards away from getting 1,000-yard season. So billing with Cam Ward and Tony Pollard into the future is obviously what the Tennessee Titans wants to do. And the Saints, obviously, going into to Tennessee, you know, you want to be leery of Cam Ward, who also can scramble. He's like the third leading rusher, 138 yards on 35 scrambles. He averaged 4 yards every time he's kind of moving around in there. He got a gun for an arm, so you got to watch him. And the game is definitely slowing down for Cam Ward, by the way, fam. With all of those starts, with 15 games worth of starts, it's definitely slowing down for him. And it's like no pressure on him to do anything but to keep getting better. And he's a good young quarterback, man, with respectable numbers. So Tajay Spears is also there, the phenomenal change of pace back they have with Pollard there. Through 11 games, he has 263 rushing yards, but 2 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns for Pollard. So, of course, the Saints want to stop the running attack and get pressure to Cam Ward. We'll go over our keys, after we finish this. All right, you look at Chig Okongwu, which is the tight end for the team. He's their top guy, 51 catches, leads all people on the squad, over 500 yards in receiving. He just has 1 touchdown, but he's a guy that Cam Ward relies on. He's a security blanket and a part of the young group moving into the future with the Titans. He averages 10 yards per catch, and the Saints have to be aware of what he is. Eric Ayominer, which is another really a possession-minded wide receiver that I've actually scouted this guy. And Ayominer is just a hell of a player. He's not a guy that's known to be fast or anything, but he makes very difficult catches, right? And he comes along from Stanford. He was a 4th-round pick for this team with 34 catches, over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. He averages 12.6 yards per catch. And he's a factor in what they got going on with the team. Also, Gunnar Helm is another player, a tight end that the team is utilizing too. He's one of these tight ends that came out in 2025 last year that a lot of people liked, these really good big tight ends. And Gunnar from Texas was another guy, 43 catches for 356, 2 touchdowns, 8.3. These people are obviously players that'll be future guys with this team going forward. And these are kind of guys that they're relying on, and they're going to continue to kind of get talent. This team them and the Jets are basically lining up for the 1st-round draft picks. To be quite honest with you, those guys are headed for draft pick status, and it simply is what it is. So we'll see how that plays. But, man, I just love some of these young talent because I remember scouting these guys, and the Tennessee Titans continue to accrue players that ultimately, when it's all said and done, They want to build back and make this team a thriving entity again, and they need another solid free agency and a solid draft before you start seeing results in this thing. But these are a few of the players here to make mention of on defense. 144 tackle Cedric Gray is the guy with a sack as well. He leads the team in tackles by a mile. This is a player you can see got a questionable grade coming into this matchup, but he's a guy that's been really big for the Titans, a bright spot on defense for them out of North Carolina. So we'll see how that continues to grow. I think Dramont Jones, who is the top sacker for the team, I think he has Jeffrey Simmons. Jones is the third guy. Jeff Simmons is another phenomenal interior defensive line force that is just off the chain. This guy here brings it, 9 sacks from this defensive lineman, and on the season, which is 13th in the NFL. He also has a 58 tackles. So this is a force. So the Titans, even though they're a 3-win team, they got some players here that you have to watch out for. Jihad Ward is another fantastic player that came over and free agency for them. He's a guy that has about 5 sacks, 27 tackles. And these guys they use to kind of get around and make plays happen. From an interception standpoint, 3 for Cody Barton, a linebacker for the Titans. Barton's another guy from the University of Utah. This is a guy that's an active player, moves around. He has 74 tackles combined on the season. So like I said, it's a lot of positive stuff going on the defense side. They're a losing team, but they're also playing free, and you got to watch out for these guys. Like Jeff Simmons is the best player on the team in my estimation. He's phenomenal. Cedric Gray is another top player there. He's playing really good ball. Amani Hooker, who's the safety back there, he's a phenomenal force with 79 tackles. He doesn't have a pick, but this kid could play as well. So, I mean, like I said, they have some good players on this team. They're just not a complete team, obviously, and they need at least a couple of years of kind of adding talent, depending on how they move this thing along, right? So I ain't gonna go through all of this, but this is just some of them that we can kind of look at and say, okay, we got to watch out for some of these guys, right, moving forward. All right, so anyway, here is the Tennessee Titans depth chart right here. Their depth chart. Cam Ward, we already showed you the numbers of Cam Ward. Tony Pollard, who came over from Dallas to kind of be that bell cow for these guys. Tajay Spears out of Tulane's a phenomenal back right now. You can see he's active. He's very dangerous, by the way. This is a guy that can catch the ball. He got exclusive speed, elusibility. The man's just phenomenal, right? And they use him as a change of pace back with Pollard. So Tennessee will probably kind of institute him and move him around. He'll be there as well. So they don't have a bunch of big names in terms of their wide receivers. These are guys, young guys. So you can see this guy has 41 catches and 4 touchdowns for Dyke. Van Jefferson was a former wide receiver out of Florida. He's a speedster. 12-yard average, has 1 touchdown. So they have guys that are home run hitters, and I think that's the philosophy. The Tennessee have a gun, accurate but yet strong-armed Cam Ward. They want to operate a vertical offense with speedy wide receivers and get up the field, similar to what the Saints do, right? That's the philosophy. They have really good tight ends. You see Gunnar Helm here. Shough is the guy that leads the team in tackles. Gunnar, because he's a better receiver than Gunnar Helms. Gunnar is more of a blocking threat. But the reality, they do use these 2 tight ends together in 2 tight end sets. So they do use these guys, and their statistics are not that far apart. From an offensive line standpoint, you can't brag on them. I mean, Cam Ward is able to be sacked. He is 51 sacks that they allowed to happen to Cam Ward, right? So we can get to him. Their offensive line, you can see right here, Moore, Skonronsky, Kuchenberg, the third, Zettler, and Latham are the offensive linemen. Of course, they got to do more work in improving their offensive line. But outside of that, this is what it is. And then, of course, the 3-4 defense, you see Sebastian Joseph. Tavontre Sweat, who we know about Tavontre Sweat. Their best player is Jeffrey Simmons, who you put inside, outside. They operate him more at the end. But he is a guy that does a lot of work. Big defensive lineman, the best player on the team, in my opinion. And he does work. He should be a Pro Bowler this year. Jihad Ward, Cody Barton, and Cedric Gray, which is questionable. We know Gray is the leader of the team in terms of tackles, by a mile. Arden Key is another face. So they have a very athletic unit that operate from the linebacker level. And then, of course, you get to the secondary. You see guys Darrell Baker and Armar Davis, and Marcus Harris is out. So you're more than likely to see one of the other guys, whether it's Robinson or whomever they can circulate at the nickel position. So you can see there are injuries to the secondary. Xavier Woods was one of the better guys they had as well. So you see guys like Kendall Brooks and Amani Hooker, who's having a solid season at the safety position as well. So the defense, like I said, their secondary is susceptible to hitting them up the field and making plays on them. So we have to watch that big time. And of course, Shamir Dyke is another dude that we talk about. This is a speedster component. He's one of the guys that he has 4 receiving touchdowns, but he's one of the key kick returners for this unit. And you have to watch out because their special teams returns on punts is the best in the league. And you got to watch these people on the special teams component. They have a decent kicker and Joey Sly, and he's one of these guys that can kick it for him. But the bottom line, Johnny Hecker is a very veteran punter who's been a very good punter for a long time in the league. You remember Hecker came over from the Rams. But yeah, you got to watch out for some of these players on special teams that can flip the field for the Tennessee Titans. And by all means, listen, it's not going to be an easy game. I don't look at us smacking this team down like we did the Jets. By no sense of the imagination, I'm anticipating that's what it's going to be, us smacking this team down like we did the Jets, who didn't even have a quarterback. They had a practice squad quarterback plan. I don't anticipate that happen at all. What I do anticipate is that the Saints will have a strong game against this team. We won't go in there underestimating anybody, but don't get it twisted. The Tennessee Titans aren't the New York Jets. This is the team where Cam Ward's playing good football. Tony Pollard is a strong running back right there, and they have decent wide receivers to make things happen. Dyke has speed. Ayemeyer makes very difficult catches. Van Jefferson out of the secondary is a guy that can really get up the field, and they have 2 really good tight ends. They operate in two tight end sets who block well and act as wide receivers. They have enough player personnel up front on the defensive side in Jeffrey Simmons, Jahai White, Cody Barton, as Cedric Gray. He's questionable, but a game time decision. So they have players to take care of business of in this type of environment, and they'll be at home. They're coming off a win against the Kansas City Chiefs, regardless of not that Pat Mahomes wasn't in the game. They still beat the Chiefs, and they feeling pretty good coming off the win. Can we continue our success going forward? Is where we start off with the 10 keys to victory, and I'm gonna give you 12 keys to victory because it's not about to say New Year's. It is Christmas Eve. So we giving out gifts here on the Sports Coma with 2 extra keys on top of the 10 keys of victory. So key number 1, capitalize on the passing momentum, right? So quarterback Tyler Shough and receiver Chris Olave have built momentum. The Titans defense is susceptible to passing, so we have to be able to use that. We have to eat up the secondary and take advantage of, they have injuries there. They're not as consistent as other aspects of the Tennessee Titans defense. I know the Saints will attempt to run the football. We know that. But at the same time, we have to be able to get the ball upfield vertically against that weak secondary and make them pay, right? That is big. Number 2, contain the Titans run game. While the Saints was strong against the run. We strong against the run the last several games or so. The current defense, we still need to tighten some stuff up. Need to keep swarming to the ball, and we got to keep Tony Pollard under control and keep the Titans defense offense rather, one-dimensional. Tony Pollard needs like 10-plus yards to get the fouls, and he'll get that. But when you trace back to matchups against like the Carolina Panthers matchup, where we had their running back under control, the recent matchup against the Jets with Hall, who's good. So we've been facing good running backs, and as of recently, really keeping them under control. We can't allow Tony Pollard or Tajay Spears to get loose in a running attack because they have enough people to make it difficult for you. That's the bottom line. So we have to rally to the ball, and we have to stop Tony Pollard. Number 3, generate interior pressure. That's number 3. With defensive tackle Bryan Bresee out, Big Shep will be crucial. He'll be the next guy. The Saints might have to kick Cam in on certain plays to generate pass rush. Jonah Williams, we've seen him play interiorly to create pass rush. Whatever the case may be, we got to generate interior pass rush against the Titans offensive line that has struggled to protect Cam Ward. Time for third and sacks lead wide with 51. They allowed him to be sacked 51 times, which means there is definitely opportunity for the Saints to add. Do they get 8 sacks like they did against the Jets? I don't know. But if we can get half of that, 4 or 5 sacks, I think that would be even better too. But you'll have an opportunity to handle business against this team. Number 4, we got to win the turnover battle. In low scoring affairs, turnovers are critical. The Saints defense must force some fumbles and interceptions while the offense got to protect the ball and gain edge in possessions and on field position. So we need that to happen. The Saints defense got to get the fumbles. We got to win the turnover battle. We seen last week the Saints did have some stuff going on. They did get an interception. They sacked the quarterback 8 times, which was a record. And we did a lot of positive stuff. We also must, when you have games against teams, that's a 3-win team, that's one of the worst teams in the NFL, we know for a fact that they are going to turn the ball over. You're going to get a turnover or 2. You're going to get opportunities to sack the quarterback. You're going to get a guy throwing the ball early to a pick. You got to be there and make the play. So we got to win that turnover battle, right? We got to win it. All right, so that's number 4. Number 5 is eliminate the offensive penalties, right? Saints offense committed a lot of penalties and early in the season. That this time around, last game they kept the penalties down, and cleaning this up is big because the Saints were able to, in essence, they didn't get any false start penalties. They did have a couple of personal foul penalties, is whatever going on like that with Alontae Taylor smacking the guy in the helmet or whatever. But outside of the false starts, the Saints have done a good job over the winning streak of keeping themselves disciplined and contained, not getting the miscues that help us. So they've been paying attention to that, which is helping play a cleaner brand of football when they're not self-sabotaging, right? So we got to continue to do that, right? So 4 or 5, what's that? 5, that's 4. Well, here's the next one. Secure catches, drops, buys, receivers can kill promising drives. The receiving corps must assure they make the contested catches, open catches. When you get an open catch, you got to do it. And then you're starting to see that with Chris Olave. The Saints are finding aspects and areas of the field they could place Chris Olave in zone defenses. That's really showing up. They're doing the same thing with Juwan Johnson. They're putting him in certain areas of the field, holes in zones, and you can see that a stiffer Juwan Johnson earlier in the season, you can see him jumping over receivers now, trying to jump over people. You can see him spinning and putting his hand, using stiff arm, lowering using his size to push through smaller defenders for your extra yards. You're starting to see that more. And one of the positive things I've seen on film is that they're getting the ball to Juwan in motion, like he's moving on the field, and when Tyler Shough is throwing the ball to him, he's catching it in motion, right? He's moving in motion. He's not standing still. A lot of these plays, he's catching them while he's still moving, and that's big because the momentum can carry him forward through and make him able to catch, break tackles of smaller defenders. So they're putting Juwan, they're putting Chris Olave, they're putting Mason Tipton, they're putting Taysom Hill, they're putting these guys in position where they're making plays, right? And that's a positive. So security catches, especially when they're open. Reliable kicking, with the game coming down to the wire, having reliable kicking. We've seen the Saints convert 5 of 6 last week. That'll be vital in the special teams area, right? That'll be big. Speaking of special teams, the next key is effective special teams coverage. We got to have that. The Titans have a strong return game, so the Saints coverage teams need to be excellent with the hang time on punts. So Kai Kroger has to be able to, when we're punting to him, you got to put them suckers up high and inside the 10-yard line if possible on those punts. We have to watch out for that. And of course, precision kickoffs to minimize those explosive returns. Charlie Smith, let them kick the son of a gun through their end zone so they don't get a return. You see what I'm saying? And on punts, if we have to punt, kick that sucker 40 plus yards up in the air and allow the coverage teams to get down there, because these people are really good at that. We don't need them to have a flash special teams play to hurt us. We need to focus on that. Special teams in this game, we have to control that area. We have to stop them from doing that, because in that asset, they are better They're a top team in NFL in doing that, and you have to watch out for that on special teams. All right, that's another key. Here's another one as well. Control third down conversions. Winning a third down battle on both offense and defense historically been a strong indicator who controls the game and ultimately wins. Third down conversions. Saints have done better with third down conversions. They have done better, and that is a part of why the team is winning these games. We've had drives where we stopped ourselves, and they've had drives where the Saints were able to convert the third downs because they're not having the miscues where they hadn't picking up false starts and all this kind of stuff, which put them in third and long situations. A lot of the Saints third downs, not all of them, but a great deal of them are manageable, which will be 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3. That's what you want to be. And when you have that, then you have everything. When you have manageable third downs, it is trust me, it's a lot better being third than 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15. They've been manageable. Next key, establish the run game. You got to be able to establish your own running attack. Both teams struggle to run the ball. We know what's dealing with our team. Where the other team can establish the more consistent rushing attack and control the tempo, and then get into those play action opportunities that we need to be able to take care of and get into our bag as well. So we have to establish the running attack. We know that Devin Neal is out. Alvin Kamara is still currently showing like he's going to be out for this game as well. The Saints have not put AK-41 on the shelf like they did Devin Neal and shut him down for the season. Kamara is listed as questionable here and could be a game time decision. And we probably going to end up seeing Alvin Kamara this week. This is the closest we've seen him, and the Saints have not. It's a reason why they haven't put an AK-41 on the shelf. It's a reason why he hasn't been placed on the shelf. A shelf meaning the injury list and done for the season like a Neal or Kendre Miller. They still feel like he can contribute. Well, guess what? This Titans game, you might see Alvin Kamara back. You might see AK-41 back in this game with Taysom Hill, with Chris Olave, with Jawan Johnson, with Mason Tipton. We could have an additive extra big player like Alvin back for the final 2 games against the Titans and the Falcons. So that would be a huge plus for us offensively to get our best running back there with what he does, and then mix him in with Taysom Hill. So I think Alvin. I do think ultimately Alvin Kamara will get back. Excuse me for that, fam. I think AK-41 will make it back in time for this matchup against the Titans. He's listed questionable current right now, and it'll be a game time decision. And I think it's a reason why they hadn't shelved him yet. I think they believe that he can still help us. I think he'll be, and this is just me stepping out on a limb right now, but I think that ultimately Alvin Kamara will be ready to go come the Titans game, and we'll have him most certainly for the Atlanta game to close out the regular season, right? All right. So anyway, that's getting your running attack. That was tempo number 2, controlling the tempo. Number 10 was establishing our own running game so we can be able to balance and get into our play action bag. And then here's 2 more tips for the fam. Tip number 11, fast start, right? Getting off to a fast start, creating what we call a snowball effect, giving the crowd their home crowd less to cheer about, making it quiet for our offense to separate, and controlling the atmosphere. Let's make this stadium, Nissan Stadium, our home by starting off fast, punching the Titans in the face, and just going after their quarterback because they've given up a lot of sacks. They're not good in protecting them. I think Coach Staley will do a good job in dialing up the blitz. You're going to see the Saints cut it loose and go from there. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works and how it happens for the Saints. I'm looking forward to it on a high level of watching the Saints go into Nissan Stadium with Alvin coming back for the game and helping us out right there, man. I think this is going to be a good way, like I said, to close out the season with 2 games remaining right there. We'll see how they close it out. But there, and by the way, for the weather, for the family members that's asking about the weather, it's supposed to be a little rain. I'm anticipating here. I'm gonna give y'all a weather report in just a moment after we finish with the keys of victory. So that's key number 11. A bonus for you guys is that we got to get off to a fast start. Key number 12, matchup exploitation. The Saints should target the Titans defense in areas of weakness, such as targeting the wide receivers, giving the yards allowed by the Titans pass rush defense. So we have to be able to target And the secondary, I know that some of the better players, the linebackers, the defensive line with Simmons, all those guys up front are good, right? They have some good players up front and at the linebacker level. But in the secondary, there's a lot to be a lot to be desired. They need help in the secondary. That is where we will shine against the Tennessee Titans. We'll take advantage of that weak secondary. That's what we have to do as a team to gain more success. So those are the keys to victory right there, fam. Of course, we have to be able to handle the business and shut it down, but that's 12 keys, 2+ keys as gifts to the Who Dat Nation on this Christmas Eve edition. I keep saying all kind of different holidays, man. But number 1 key, capitalize on passing momentum. Number 2, contain the Titans run game. Number 3, generate interior pass rush. Number 4, win the turnover battle. Number 5, eliminate offensive penalties. Number 6, secure catches, especially wide open ones. Number 7, reliable in the kicking game. We got to come in there and kick. We're 5 or 6, but when we get an opportunity to kick the ball, we got to do it. Number 7, effective special teams coverage, because these teams, one of the best, they're the best in the NFL in that punt return situation. We got to watch out there. Number 8, control the third down conversions. Make sure we get third and shorts, not third and longs, and convert them. What was it, number 8? What was that? Number 9. Okay, let's go to number 9. Establish the actually, that was number 7. Number 8, control the third down. Like I said, number 9 is establish the running game. Oh, actually, that's 10. I got mixed up. Number 9 is control third downs. Number 10 is establish our own running attack. Number 11 is get off to a fast start. And number 12, matchup exploitation, taking advantage of the secondary for the Tennessee Titans with our wide receiver and our offense as well. So that's the 10 keys +2 for the holidays for the Who Dat Nation in this thing. So anyway, let me go to and also look at and see if we can get the Titans weather report that'll be here in Nissan Stadium on that day and see exactly how that will benefit. So for the Sunday matchup, right, for Sunday, it's supposed to be raining, family. So it's a 91% chance of rain. It's breezy in the morning and remaining warm with periods of rain throughout time. So it's supposed to be a rainy day in Tennessee, which means this is going to be a run-heavy game. Now, it's supposed to be in and out, but it'll be 69 degrees. It'll be the lowest considered 27 degrees, but the game will be at 12 o'clock. So, we'll see exactly how that all plays. So with a 12 o'clock tip-off time, they're anticipating 6 to 8 degrees. It's supposed to be a little rain involved there as well. I think it's 90-something% chance of rain, 91% chance of rain right now. Early on is what I'm seeing for that game Sunday. Early on, 69%. The temperature is supposed to be raining. It's going to be breezy in the morning and remaining warm with periods of rain throughout the day. So the winds, how would the winds be? Southwest, 14-mile-per-hour winds. So it's going to be a rainy day in Tennessee. It's open air stadium. So there you go on that. So we're might see another little rainy day situation, which will help lead to more of a run game ultimately for the Saints. So it might be a little sloppy stuff going on as well. So that's the weather report for the game. And that's pretty much what I got for y'all on this show, man. Y'all put in the likes. Now, also, do I anticipate the team picking up and getting a win here against the Tennessee Titans? I do. I think the Saints, it'll be closer than we think it will be because this is 2 young quarterbacks operating right there. I think Alvin Kamara will come back for this game. So it'll be cool to see Alvin along with Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, Cam doing this thing. So I do think that the Saints will get the win. It'll be a lot more difficult for us, than we think it is. I don't think we blow the Tennessee Titans out because I think this is a young team that's still fighting. They still got a lot to be concerned, to be proud of. But in the end, I think the Saints have more than enough to be able to take care of the Tennessee Titans who struggle at home. Can we deal with the rain? Can we execute our game plan and stay on code and finish the season strong, beating the Titans, beating the Falcons, and going into the offseason at 7-10 on a 5-game winning streak is just perfect for what we want the team to do because that'll build great momentum and make it a very positive offseason going forward as Saints win 5 straight. So that would be so cool. And I think that the Titans will put up a fight, but ultimately I think the Saints will win by a field goal or something to that degree. I don't think they blow them out like we did the Jets. I think it'll be a lot closer than that. But anyway, with that being said, that's all I got for y'all today on the show. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Big Q representing the mighty Who Dat Nation. Once again, I salute you guys. Y'all hit the like button and the sub button. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to the family out here on this day. You can see we got festive with the backdrop. But listen, man, shout out to you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas. It's just, with your family and friends, positive and well wishing to you guys as well going forward. And I thank you guys. It's time to give great thanks to the fam for over a decade now. The Sports Coma been representing the Who Dat Nation. We appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving over time, man. And once again, thank you. Shout out to our Patreon family members, our YouTube membership family. We'll have a first of many mock drafts that'll be coming out. A real thorough 7-round mock that we'll be presenting to the Who Dat Nation on our Patreon. So for our Patreon YouTube membership family, that's coming up this weekend. So with that being said, I'm cutting out on that, man. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have a splendid and happy Merry Christmas. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one. Much love, peace, and Who Dat too.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. You're
listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the WhoDatDaily.com. your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation. Stay in the NO, you stay in the...
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.